Hello and welcome to episode 1 of my new and limited series called Halloween Hidden Gems, which I'm going to be going over probably once a week. I'm going to be picking a spooky movie that I think matches well with the Halloween season. And hidden gems would allude to the fact that these are movies I feel like most people haven't seen. Now, I understand there's going to be plenty of folks that say, I've seen this. This is for normies, whatever. But um, as far as I am aware, I would guess that the average person either has not even heard of the movie or has not seen these movies. With the intent of hopefully opening some doors for people and giving them some good inspiration on what to watch over the next couple of weeks leading up here to Halloween. And for episode 1, probably the most divisive movie on the list, we're going to go with Skinamarink.
In this house.
Which is a 2022 horror film by Kyle Edward Ball. I don't know if he's done anything since then. I don't really follow Mr. Ball, but I am aware that he initially had a YouTube channel. I think it was called bite-sized horror or bite-sized scares, something bite-sized. And I'll put a link in the description for his channel if it's still out there. But essentially, his YouTube channel, he would request his community to give him descriptions of recurring nightmares or spooky dreams that people were having, and then he would kind of, I guess, sift through the ones that he thought were the best, and then he would end up making little horror shorts that he would post on his channel. And from what I understand, Skinamarink is kind of like the culmination of that creative process. So Skinamarink itself is a full feature-length movie that follows a young brother and sister. I think the sister is older and she's maybe 6 or 7, and then the younger brother Kevin, I would peg around maybe 3 or 4. And in the beginning of the film, Kevin has some sort of accident where he falls down the stairs, or something happens where he hits his head, and his father then takes him to the ER, and then they return home. And when the kids go to bed, they wake up at some point in the middle of the night and they realize that their parents are no longer in the house, and the whole house is dark. And it just kind of takes off from there. And then it becomes pretty evident that there is either some sort of demonic or spiritual manifestation occurring within their home, or the entire film is supposed to be some sort of dream sequence, or maybe the kids are in some sort of in between state of sleep and being awake. And now we're going to get to why this movie is incredibly divisive. Literally, you either will hate the movie and will not even be able to finish it, or you love it. It either clicks with you, and you're going to know, I would think, within the first 30 minutes of the film, whether or not it's going to work for you. And my household is a perfect example of that. When I watched this with my wife, she fell asleep on the couch, I think 20 to 30 minutes into the movie. And then I stuck it out and I sat there and I watched the whole thing. And it's, we watched it at night. All the lights were out. She's sleeping. So I just feel like I'm just by myself in the dark watching this movie, which is primarily shot in the dark. And I haven't watched a movie like this since I was a kid. But there are literally several scenes in this movie that had me so freaked out because of just this like sense of dread and terror that the movie creates, that I was just like, I don't even know if I can physically continue to watch the movie, because it would just like, it just gets under your skin like bugs. But the reason the movie is so divisive is because 85% of the film is just a static shot, and everything is shot in this grainy VHS, analog horror style. But 85% of the shots of this film are just like a camera will be like statically sitting on a tripod, like shooting the top corner of a room. There are maybe 2 moments where a full like human character is in frame. But most of the time, like when we're talking about following these 2 kids as they navigate this house that quickly becomes like a house of horrors for them, you'll just see like maybe their hand, or the camera will be on the floor, and you're kind of looking at like the back of a couch, and you can see underneath the couch, and then like the kids will get off the couch and you just see their feet, and then they'll walk around the couch towards you and then out of frame. So it's just the camera is never focusing on an actual character. And like I said, most of the shots are just static and we're just looking. And a lot of the time it's very dark and it's grainy, but you can hear there's like audio happening. And by the end of the film, even just these static shots of you looking into like the doorway of a bedroom upstairs and it's dark, and the whole time you're just sitting there and you're just waiting to see something. And there's moments where I'm like, it's either your brain starts to psychologically just play tricks on you because you've been watching this movie for over an hour, and you swear that you see things, or the director they were like digitally doing things they were playing with the grainy darkness and being like, hey, let's just slowly work something in here. Because there's moments where I swear I'm like, that I don't think I'm imagining that. Like you can see like a figure or something. But as I said, some people like they just can't, they don't have the patience for it, and I totally understand that. I read somewhere online some guy compared this watching this movie to putting bread in the toaster oven and then staring at it for 2 hours only to realize the toaster oven wasn't plugged in, which made me laugh because it's true. It's either going to work and if it's going to work, it's going to work really well. And you're going to be like me, like watching parts of the movie through my freaking hands. I couldn't wait for the movie to be over because it was just like, I tell you, it just felt like exhausting watching it because it was so freaking freaky. Or you're going to hate it.
In this house.
But if you've been following the channel, that you know that I am a fan of originality and creativity, even if it's not going to work for everyone. But you have a director here who's taking a risk, and from what I've read, he apparently they shot this film on a $15,000 budget in his childhood home, and most of the movie was lit just using the lamps inside the house. And I think the director even stated that like a huge portion of the film was lit with just his parents' old CRT TV that they feature a lot in the movie. So it's cool. It's incredibly low budget, and like I said, it's a creator who is sculpting something from very little. And for me, it was incredibly effective. But plot-wise, I won't spoil a ton. But as I said, so you have this brother and this sister, and they wake up, and their parents are seemingly gone. And they get freaked out. They don't like to be upstairs because the whole house is dark. So the two of them go downstairs to the living room, and they turn on that CRT television. And through most of the film, it's some channel playing like old cartoons, right? And that just kind of loops throughout the movie. And then things, as I said, start manifesting and happening in the house. There's scenes where there's like children's toys and they're on the ceiling. Or there'll be like a chair. One of the chairs in the kitchen is just upside down. It's on the ceiling. And then these little paranormal events keep ratcheting up to where like doors inside the house disappear. There's a bathroom downstairs that the kids use, and at some point the toilet is just gone. They go in there and they're like, the toilet's gone. And the whole movie's whispering. They're always whispering.
In this house.
To each other, and you never like see them. So there's like this confusion, and the whole movie just feels like this fever dream. It does an incredible job of capturing like that childhood perspective fear. This is what this movie is, right? In a nutshell. It's that moment when you were like 6 years old and you woke up in the middle of the night and you had to like go pee or you were thirsty. And it was like that feeling of dread of how terrifying your house was to navigate at night when you were a little kid. That's what this movie is. It's like bottling the essence of that feeling and putting it into a film, because the way that it's shot leaves you, the viewer, just being like, can't really tell what the hell is going on. I can't see much. It's hard to see. There's weird shit. Why are there toys on the ceiling? Why is that door just now gone? All these like things that help to play into that like afraid, confused perspective of a child who doesn't really understand what's going on. Then we'll get to the entity or whatever the presence is that's in their home, because at some point, and I'm only gonna spoil things that are shown in the trailer, but there's like a moment where the kids are downstairs and they both fall asleep on the floor, and then the older sister Kaylee wakes up and there's a voice from upstairs and it's like, come upstairs. And for whatever fucking reason, this kid goes upstairs. And it's at that point where you realize there is something in the house with them. The house itself seems to take on a presence of like one of those like carnival houses with like the illusions and the hall of mirrors, and it's like this funnel that is like herding these kids toward their doom. And that's Skinamarink. In the spirit of Halloween hidden gems, I encourage you, if you're looking for something to watch, take a shot on Skinamarink. It's a coin flip. It's either going to work for you or it's not. Maybe don't watch it if you're super tired. I don't think it's long. Let me get a runtime. Let me get a runtime for you. An hour 40. And to be fair, it probably could have been like an hour and 15 or an hour and 20. There's probably a little bit of fat they could have cut. But it's not bad. Take a chance. Take a risk. I will see you next time if you're still here. Thank you for watching. Peace.